Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I'm doing my big fat pile of sweaters. I saw other people do this and I thought it would be nice. I mean, also for myself to just see what I've made and yeah, talk to you a little bit about my personal crochet experience. So first of all, if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Irit. I am relatively new to crochet. I checked now as I was like preparing for this video and I looked, you know, when I bought my first patterns or downloaded them, and I think the first one was in the middle of December of 2020. So I've actually only been crocheting for a year, but I tend to be like, you know, seriously obsessed with something, buy all the stuff, buy all the yarn, and yeah, and I've made a lot. So I started crocheting as a stress relief, and yeah, it just became kind of an obsession and I am hoping to release my first pattern very soon. It's at the final stages of editing and I'm super excited about that. I really didn't see this happening, but I just felt it was something I needed to do, as you will see after just making a bunch of clothes this year for myself, or the previous year. So I just want to say that, you know, everyone has their own pace, life rhythm, possibilities to, you know, sit around and crochet, and I don't want this video to make anyone feel, you know, bad, like, oh, I only managed to do this year, and nothing like that. The point is to share, inspire, you know, maybe give you some ideas, maybe give you some encouragement. I really feel, looking back, that there are like two different paths, P-A-T-H here. One is, for me personally, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I paint, and color is a huge thing for me. And it has been for me a real challenge to find yarn in colors that I'm excited to work with, but also find it easy, so not do like complicated color work. And it's a challenge, and because I buy most of my yarn online, it's very hard to see colors, to feel the yarn. There is so much out there, it's really overwhelming. Also, as a beginner, I mean, now I guess I wouldn't consider myself a beginner anymore, but as a beginner, it's just like you don't want to buy like the super expensive stuff. I also only use vegan-friendly yarn, so that means that, you know, synthetic yarns do have a place in my stash, in my crocheting universe, because I don't feel comfortable making, you know, using all the time like really expensive yarn. And also for winter there are a lot less options if you're not using animal fibers than in summer. So this is what I've made this year. These are the sweaters that I made this year. The one I'm wearing, I finished it, I don't know actually when I started it, but I finished it in 2022, so I'm not putting it in this pile. But yeah, it is also new, and I made it and I love it. The pattern is from Maya Luna Corazon. I will try to remember to list everything below, all the patterns, all the yarns, but if I do forget something, then just leave me a comment with a timestamp and I will be happy to fill in that information in case I missed it, if I know it. Future editing Irit here. I just wanted to say that I forgot to talk about the second path, which is just making clothes that fit and, you know, fit your body, fit your style. So that also has a learning curve. And yeah, more about that in the video. So I want to begin also saying that the first two sweaters that I started crocheting, I didn't finish. One was from a really great course in Domestika. I think if I came across that course now, I would be successful in finishing the garment. But yeah, I was way too ambitious. I changed the yarn, I changed the design. Yeah, and it became a little bit of a disaster. And so I didn't finish that. And then another one that I tried, actually also from a really lovely designer, the Snugglery. She has really cute patterns, and I think a lot of them are very beginner friendly. I started it, I was using, I don't know, just like, yeah, I wasn't in love with the yarn I was using. So a lot of these things are kind of, I use what I see other designers use, and because, you know, I didn't want to change things too much, and, you know, sometimes it's just not right. And only in the recent months, I felt like I really am finding things I absolutely love. So that's just like part of it. Anyway, this was the first sweater that I completed. The pattern is Any Yarn Will Do by Dora Does. Looks like this. And this is a really great pattern because you basically get a few patterns in one, because she includes patterns for different yarn weights. Yeah, so this is a top-down yoke sweater, and the yarn that I used is actually really beautiful. It's a really beautiful 100% acrylic yarn from Hobbii. My problem with it is, of course, the colors. So it comes in a skein with several colors, and it's called Butterfly. And I just really love this colorway that I started here on top, besides the last two purples. So that's kind of a recurring theme that I love, you know, cakes and color changing yarn and all those things, but many times I don't like all the colors. So I kind of decided still to use this color. I skipped the last purple, and then I switched to another skein from the same yarn. I think this colorway is called Monarch, which I actually really like, and right now I'm very into these kinds of colors. I'm sorry, the camera seems to kind of blow out things. Hopefully you can see the colors properly. So this part is from a different colorway. I'm really into these colors, and yeah, but yeah, the combination is not doing it for me. The fit is okay, but because I wasn't too experienced with like top-down yoke things, you can see that it has some of that, like, I don't know if you can see it. It fits okay, but I think in the back it has some of that ripples, which I can't stand. This like seriously triggers me like seeing that. And this one is the second top-down yoke pattern that I made. It took me like a year to recover from this. This one turned fine, but I had a lot more knowledge, and yeah, I just knew to customize it more and trust the pattern less, not because there's anything wrong with like this pattern. It's just that I find these kind of, you know, set measurements to be, yeah, it doesn't always work, and I wouldn't consider my body to be particularly weird in any way, but yeah, obviously, just like, you know, following the medium doesn't always work. So I would say this was a bit of a fail, and I think I should just frog it and use the yarn, the colors that I love, for something else, and then take out the colors that I don't really like for a garment and just put them into like a scrap blanket. So that's number one. Hopefully I can talk less about the other ones. Okay, the next one, I think this is chronological order, but I'm not totally sure. So generally, this was kind of the progress. The next one I made was this sweater, and as you can see, it's very oversized. I do kind of like the way that it looks, but yeah, so I'll tell you the story of this. This was a pattern from Inside Crochet, from one of their, I think like last winter's issues. And it was, I think, my first simple sweater with just like 4, you know, panels that you stitch together. The instructions were simple. The designer used some really nice fancy wool, and I don't use wool, so like I don't use, you know, sheep wool. So I chose one of my favorite acrylics, Chunky Monkey from Scheepjess, and I was just like starting my yarn journey, my crochet journey, and I just got a bunch of colors because I wanted to see the color. This is a huge problem for me, that I need to like see things to figure out what colors I like together and if I want to use them. So I have a stash full of like one skein of a certain color, one skein of a certain yarn. It's a problem then to use it, especially if you don't want to wear everything that's, you know, super like colorful or have multiple colors in every single project. Although I do like that. I don't like to just make things with one color. I don't think I have like a handful of one colors. Anyway, so it's an oversized sweater. It's kind of heavy. I don't really wear it, and it does feel very nice because Chunky Monkey feels very nice. It splits a little bit, but it's more of like a chunky yarn. It's, again, very simple, doesn't really give me the feels. I don't know what to do with it. Maybe I should just try wearing it a bit more and see how I feel about it, but it takes so much space. I have limited closet space, and my sweaters are just taking over because they're so bulky. So that's another problem with crochet, that the materials, like the fabric that you create, is quite thick and chunky, and yeah, what can I tell you? I just love the process so much, and of course some of the results. But yeah, so I don't know how I feel about the sweater. The nice thing about it is that it's like double-sided, so I used, you know, every line is like a skein that I had, and yeah, I do kind of like it now that I'm looking at it. So I should just wear it. For my next video, maybe I'll wear it. Okay, this one was it was a happy project to make. This is the Habitat cardigan, Make, Do, and Crew. I really like this designer. I think she has really, really nice designs. I'm not sure how I feel about these, I don't want to call them like gimmick designs, but how do I say this? So the construction of this was very, very exciting to me because it's very simple. You make a rectangle, then you kind of close it for the sleeves, and then you add ribbing and edging. So very, very beginner friendly, but I don't know, the shapes, the fit that you can create with these type of things, I find them to be limiting and not necessarily flattering. I feel like a lot of it has to do with, you know, a really beautiful picture taken by the designer and a choice of yarn, and I don't know if this works. So I'm just not sure these kind of things are for me. I wore it a little bit. Also, a thing that I learned is that I'm not a huge fan of like chunky ribbing, and the yarn I used for this is quite chunky. This is with Macaron from Ice Yarns. I really like this yarn, and I have another garment to show you made from it. I really love this color, and if I had more, I think I would consider making a sweater, but kind of following my own design. Yeah, I showed this, you know, sometimes you should think about like sharing things with certain people. I showed this to a good friend of mine, and you know, she's lovely, but she's very, very stylish. And you know, I told her I was crocheting and I showed her this and I was like, oh, this doesn't look handmade, you're gonna love it. And she looked at it and she was like, it looks like handmade, like it looks like you made it. And I didn't feel, coming from her, I didn't feel it was a compliment. You shouldn't let other people influence the way you feel about your stuff or like the things that you make, but I still want the clothes that I make to look like, I don't really want them to look frumpy or something. So I don't know, it was a little bit like after she said that, I was a little bit like, don't insult my pretty sweater. So yeah, I think, but I really think that it's kind of like these weird sleeves with the long chunky ribbing. I think that kind of makes it look a little bit less, I don't know, like stylish. It's not even about like store-bought or, you know, designer clothes. I don't have any designer clothes. I don't buy designer clothes. But I think that was kind of the issue. But it was nice to make. It came together really fast. I do like the stitch that she used for the body. It kind of showed me different like different options with crochet stitches, not all just, you know, single crochet, half double, double crochet. Not that I don't like those stitches, but sometimes when you find like a good combination, this is just like single crochet, half and double crochet. It's just made in a different way. I can't remember what this stitch is called, but it's pretty popular. Anyway, it looks really nice. I do like adding the ribbing, and I did learn a lot from this. This was one of my first garments. But yeah, I think probably, I don't know, maybe if I removed the sleeves. The cardigan itself, it's like oversized, it's cozy, it's cute. Maybe I could do something with that. But yeah, that was, it was very, very nice to make. And I think I have a video talking about this. It was nice to make. It's a very good beginner's project. My suggestion would be to just choose a yarn you absolutely love, because that will just make everything look better. Don't use something like super cheap or stiff or anything, although this was cheap, but I actually really like the drape of this. Even though it's a little bit heavy, you know, for acrylic yarn, I really like it. And I don't think it looks like acrylic. I think it looks like a blend, like it has some wool in it. So that was that. Okay, this is definitely one of my favorite projects. This is the MYPZ Big Mohair Pullover Roxy. And this is a wonderful designer. I want to say from the Netherlands, I think. And she has like a very distinctive style, and she kind of uses simple stitches and shapes with large needles and beautiful like mohair yarn that she also offers as kits. So her kits usually cost 100 euros and above. Totally not in my budget, not to mention not vegan friendly. And so while I really adore this style, this is like totally my style. Every time she posts a new sweater, I'm like, give it to me. But I wasn't sure which yarn I could use to create something like this. And then I found this yarn from Phildar, and it's called Gourmand, I want to say, or something French like that. This is completely synthetic, but it's just incredibly soft and beautiful. They have a limited color range, but the colors are very pretty. I really want to make something with this again, like maybe one of her patterns or maybe using my pattern, because there's really nothing like this. I don't have anything like this yarn, and I think it's just like lovely. I've worn this, I think, in a couple of videos, and I've made a dedicated video to it. It's absolutely one of my favorite makes. This color makes me happy. The sleeves was kind of like using what I had, but like these colors, like these three colors, also the yellow, but especially these three, oh, they give me the feels. this color. This color is everything to me. Also the way that it looks with blue is pretty. I don't like their white. It really feels like cotton balls to me. Just reminds me of like a doctor's clinic. But everything else. Oh, so this is also made with Tunisian crochet, and it's like super simple. It really doesn't get any simpler than this. So if you want to use like a mohair kind of yarn, or you know, actual mohair, but you're kind of scared working with it, I understand you, and I think you should absolutely try one of her patterns. She has tons and tons of crochet and knitting patterns. I think all her crochet patterns are Tunisian crochet. It's really simple. It comes together relatively fast. I'm like in love with the sweater. Very forgiving if you kind of mess up the stitch count, or you know, the seams are not super clean, especially if you use the same color. Yeah, really love it. One of my favorite makes. I love the way it feels. This like wool is super light, this yarn. And yeah, Tunisian crochet makes an even thicker fabric than regular crochet, but because it's like with such a big hook, this uses a 12mm hook. And I think she has another crochet sweater that uses a 15mm. I think it's still Tunisian crochet, but it's like one stitch. It's really simple. You can go online, you know, on YouTube, find a tutorial. I've never done Tunisian crochet before or after this sweater, but it really wasn't such a big deal, and I love it. Super happy with it. Okay, so another sort of a fail is this cardigan that I kind of rescued. So the original pattern was, I'll show you, from Hollywoodward Designs, and it's called the Wren top, and it's kind of like this, I don't know, there you see. So actually really like the look of this, but again, I used kind of cheap yarn that I had on hand. This is, I want to say, Baby Elite from Ice Yarns. I don't think you should make wearables with this. This would be great for maybe like accessories, or like baby accessories, maybe blankets. They don't have a lot of colors. It's just like, I don't know. I wanted to try it, and then I bought enough to make a project, and when I made the project, I do like the color, but everything else about this yarn is just like not appealing to me anyway. I'm really sorry if you feel differently. You absolutely can. But yeah, and when I made the sweater according to the instructions, it's just like, this doesn't have any drape. The stitch is fine. It's worked, you know, I like the working lengthwise as opposed to working, you know, horizontally, especially with crochet stitches. So I do like that, but it just didn't come together. It didn't feel like, I think if I made it with a really like nice fluffy yarn, I think it would be much nicer. But now that I've kind of developed my own formula for sweaters that I feel fit perfectly, I'm much more likely to try like my own design to create something in that style. But I wouldn't choose like an acrylic yarn like this, you know, like regular acrylic yarn, which is something more that either looks or is more luxurious and more like light and fluffy. I think that works with this design. This is just like too heavy. So I made it into a cardigan. The cardigan is very cute. I'm not in love with it. However, this one was one of my most loved, most enjoyable project that kind of sparked the concept for my own first pattern. So this is another design from Inside Crochet, and it's kind of like this Batwing sweater. The original pattern actually tells you to do this, you know, really like Batwing all the way to the body. I thought it was a bit much for me, so I actually stopped at one point and just added chains and made it a little bit, you know, just like regular at the bottom. but the way this is constructed is kind of similar to my pattern, which is like you make two halves and then you join them. But I made some alterations, and in my opinion, the designer who designed this sweater is amazing. She has amazing designs. I'm like by no means in her caliber or anywhere close, but specifically with the kind of concept of making this, I really loved how this came together. And so I kind of built on the general idea of like making two halves and joining them, but I think, in my opinion, that I improved it, and yeah, so made all kinds of changes. But I love how this sweater looks, feels, drapes. The yarn is also like nicer. It's a blend of cotton and I think acrylic and polyamide. It's one of my favorite yarns. It's the Rico design long and light DK yarn, and this is like the multicolored colorway. I don't like any of the other colors, but they have also the same yarn in like a tweed option, and those are beautiful. And I just bought a bunch and I really need to make something with them ASAP. So I love this. It's like my pastel unicorn rainbow sweater, and yeah, it was a joy to make. I think the only thing I would do a bit differently was that I wasn't that familiar with adding ribbing, and my ribbing is a little bit loose, but now I have learned and improved, and yeah, I think I could do a better job. I don't mind it so much because, you know, it's not a very fitted sweater, but I love how this turned out. It's one of my favorite makes. That brings me to my own sweaters, which I'm working on two more for the Cal. So I will be doing a crochet along if you want to make your own sweater, if you want to, you know, try my concept, my pattern for a sweater that really fits you. And the way you know that it really fits you is because you just put it on from the very beginning. And yeah, I love the process, and I hope you will love it too, and I'm gonna share it here on my channel. So I'll show you. I filmed an introduction video for the Cal, like showing you all these sweaters on me and talking about them. So I'm not gonna go into like super detail, but I'll just show you what I made and talk about it briefly. So this is the DK version, and it is made from a gorgeous yarn. Again, one of my favorites. This is called Fluffina, and I don't think it's widely available, so I do apologize. If you're in Austria or Germany, you can find this on Junghans Wolle. It's under their own brand, and it is mostly cotton, like 80-something% cotton and a little bit of polyamide, which makes it incredibly soft. They have nice colors, still a bit limited color palette, but these two are my favorites. And that's what I used for my sweater. It has a beautiful fit, and you can see how it fits in the dedicated video. But this is, again, one of my favorite makes. And I think a part of it is just choosing a yarn that is really beautiful. This one is a little bit... So after I came up with the kind of concept or the design for the sweater, it's called the half and half sweater, I made another version and filmed it so that I could, you know, share it in tutorials. And I wanted to use just a yarn that I had a lot of, which was these colors of Macaron from Ice Yarns. So I don't know, when I look at the sweater like this, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure about these colors, but it actually looks and fits really nice. And you know, it's not really oversized, but it's just like very cozy and longer than my other ones. I think it just reaches just below my tush. And yeah, it was just like really nice to make because it's a more chunky yarn. It came together like super fast, even though, you know, it's an entire quite large sweater. But yeah, so this is the back, this is the front. Not too crazy about the colors, like the other two are much more my thing, and also right now I'm really into like these kinds of colors. But yeah, okay, speaking of color. Okay, this is definitely one of my favorite makes. Again, this is made with my half and half concept. And here I really played with the different weights. So remember I was talking about how I don't like chunky ribbing. So I found a solution for me that worked really well, that I did the ribbing on this one with one strand of DK weight yarn. This is all like acrylic yarn, very affordable. This is the Color Crafter from Scheepjess. And then for this part, the very colorful part, I used 3 skeins, like 3 strands of DK weight yarn to create the color work, and obviously a much larger hook. And then for this part, I used 2 strands of DK weight and a slightly smaller hook. And then again, for the ribbing here at the bottom and at the neckline, I used 1 strand of DK. So that worked really well for me. I love that concept, and I hope to also write a pattern that is specific to using, you know, DK yarn in this manner. I like chunky sweaters, but I don't like them chunky all over. For my body type, I don't mind. I'm like smaller at the top, larger at the bottom, so I don't mind wearing something that is chunky here, but I don't want it to be chunky anywhere like below. So this worked really well, and you know, you just need one kind of yarn and just playing around with the number of strands that you work with and the hook sizes. So this one, again, it maybe looks a little bit like chunky, but it actually fits really, really nicely. Yeah, thanks to the construction, which I just love. So this one has shorter sleeves, a little bit like balloon sleeves, but absolutely love how it turned out. It makes me super happy. I'm all about color, you can see around me, and yeah, this is, I really want to make something that is colorful. Yeah, so really happy with that one. And then the 4th half and half sweater that I made is this one, and this is made from Fluffy Day by Hobbii, 100% synthetic yarn that is very affordable, especially when they go on sale, and they go on sale often. You get a lot of yarn, you get like almost 300 meters from a 100 gram skein, but because it's like fluffy, you can use a larger hook. I think I used a 6mm, and it comes together pretty fast. And what I really love about this yarn is that it has that halo, and yeah, I just really like it. And this is more, it's not like really oversized, but I guess more loose fitting, and the sleeves are also kind of more loose. Really, really like it. Again, same construction, just like different choices. I will explain everything in the cal if you're interested. And then the last sweater I finished, I think I finished it before 2021 ended, I think so, is this beautiful, beautiful sweater. This is the Unity sweater from Maya Luna Corazon. She's also the designer that designed this one. This is the Heartfelt, I want to say, sweater. This one is a top-down yoke. This one is just made in 4 separate pieces and then stitched together. The sleeves are made in the round, and I just love it. I love the yarn. This is Phildar jewel spun yarn in Daybreak Delta. I'm obsessed with this yarn. The colors are so rich and gorgeous, and yeah, I made it kind of cropped. The body is a little bit oversized, the sleeves are nicely fitted, and I loved making it. Took me very, very little time because I was completely obsessed with it and I couldn't stop crocheting. Yeah, and it's one of my favorite makes because of the design and the yarn. So that's my fat pile of sweaters. If you're making such a video, I would love it if you like linked me or told me to look on your channel. I would love to see. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you will join the cal. All the details are coming very, very soon. I just want to have the pattern ready before I start, in case you want to purchase it and, you know, print it out and have it on hand. So that's why I'm kind of not starting yet, because I'm very, very advanced in my my own sweaters that I'm making for the cowl. So I'm making 2 sweaters, kind of ambitious, but yeah, hopefully one of them I will definitely end during the cowl, you know, by the end of it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for being here, watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Take care, bye bye.